Hi, this is Carrie Brownstein.
This is DJ Premier.
This is Darren Aronofsky.
You got the RZA right here.
Rose McGowan.
Radiohead.
Aisha Tyler.
Tribe Called Quest. Fred Armisen.
Prince Paul.
Javier Munoz. Seth Meyers.
Frankie Cosmos.
Flying Lotus.
Hi, we're Chaim, and you're listening to the Talkhouse Podcast.
What's up? What is up? It's your host, Elia Einhorn. Welcome back to the Talkhouse Podcast. On this week's show, we feature a conversation between Deftones' Chino Moreno and comedian/musician Reggie Watts. To help me introduce this week's show, joining from the City of Wind, the man, the myth, the legend, the executive editor on the line.
It's Josh Modell, and I cannot possibly live up to those titles, but thank you.
Well, you are at least an executive editor.
Okay, I'll give you that.
And a man.
Okay.
Myths, legends, to me.
Fair enough.
Well, Josh, welcome back to the show. You actually curated this pairing. Tell me how it came together.
Well, it was one of those simple ones where Deftones have a record coming out. They're kind of a legendary band whose stature has grown over the years.
Perhaps men, myth, legends, you would say?
Much more so than me, anyway. We've floated just to Chino, hey, who would you like to speak with? And Reggie was the first name that came up.
That's awesome. Now, I happen to have Reggie's number in my phone simply because we met at a festival back in 2012. But I ran into him again at the Lot Radio last year when Reggie came to hang out. We exchanged numbers, and though the pandemic has meant that we haven't actually hung out, I was able to just text him and say, dude, you want to talk to Chino? And he said, I would do anything for Chino. So here we are, the guys in conversation.
Yeah.
Josh, tell us about Chino and Deftones, man.
So Chino Moreno, obviously most people know as the lead singer and lyricist of Deftones, who released their debut album 25 years ago. And more recently, their 9th studio album just this past September 25th. They're one of those bands that has crossed that line in critical and commercial success where, I think when they were first out, they were kind of lumped in with a lot of kind of metal bands that maybe they didn't belong with.
Even some of the new metal at the time, right?
I didn't want to say it, but yes.
Yeah. But stuff that, looking back, it makes no sense that they would have been compared to.
Exactly. And their landmark album, White Pony, which came out 20 years ago in 2000, has kind of recently been re-embraced as the classic that it is.
It's like Deftones and Enya.
Deftones and Enya. They should go on tour together. I'd go to that. Chino's also stepped out in incredible musical ways with the bands Team Sleep, Crosses, and Palms. He's got a lot of music out there.
He does. Now, back to Deftones, though. Because Chino in this talk mentions a few of the guys, I want to just let you know who they are. Chino's the singer and rhythm guitarist in the band. Stephen Carpenter is the insane lead guitar player. Frank Delgado plays keys and turntables. Sergio Vega plays bass. And Abe Cunningham rocks the drums. Remember those names.
I'll remember Sergio. He's in Quicksand.
Boom.
Which is a band I like a lot.
Josh, you want to share a track from the new record?
Yeah, let's check out the title track from their latest album, Ohms. That's OHMS, as in a unit of electrical resistance.
I'm throwing the horns, Josh. I'm throwing the horns.
You can't see me, but I am too.
You know who else I throw the horns to? Reggie fucking Watts. Reggie is an insanely versatile comedian and musician, perhaps most widely seen these days as the band leader on The Late Late Show with James Corden. In the earlier stages of his comedy career, Reggie gained renown for his beatboxing and improvisational looping technique, which influenced Chino quite a bit and comes up in this talk. Just this past February, Flying Lotus's Brain Feeder record label released Reggie's second album with the legendary John Tejada under their band name Wahada.
Yeah, let's check out the title track from their confusingly titled second album, Don't Let Get You Down.
Let's do it.
That's awesome. Another unlikely pairing, Tejada and Reggie. Kind of like this sort of unlikely pairing on the podcast today.
Yeah, definitely. And it's cool. These guys get into a lot. I would say, Josh, that Chino has been influenced by Reggie in two main ways. One, musically, and that sort of covers the first half of the podcast. Second half, which I had no idea about, bikes, as in bicycles. These guys are deep bike nerds. And the second half of the show is very serious bike talk.
Yeah, we might have to start a spin-off podcast starring Reggie and Chino just talking about bikes because they get in deep.
They really do, man. Over the course of their time together, the guys take in the making of the new Deftones record and filming music videos in the time of COVID.
Yeah, they talk about the ups and downs of their long-term collaborations and also their very different writing and recording approaches as well.
Chino was in his home studio outside Portland, and Reggie was in his house in LA, as you can hear a little bit, wandering around, eating and drinking, and recording his side of the talk on the black mirror that we all call our phones. Get ready to take in a quarter century of band history in about 30 minutes. Should we roll a tape?
Yeah, man, let's hear it.
So how you been?
Oh, man, it's been a roller coaster, but, mostly good.
Yeah, it seems that way. I mean, aside from Earth itself, yeah. I mean, actually not the Earth itself, but the people on it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, the Earth doesn't really care.
Yeah, but yeah, I think it's been quite a while. I'm trying to think earlier about what year it was when we spent that time together in Australia.
I think it was 2012 or something like that. Or 2000.
I think that's the last time that I've seen you in person. So
yeah,
but I've seen you a lot, like on the television and everywhere since then. So feels like it hasn't been that long, just because I get to see you a lot that way.
That's true. Yeah. Well, I've been hearing a lot about the album and so forth. I've been rocking it, so it's been really nice.
Right on. Yeah, it's a trip, man. Like after all these years, whatever, it's 30 plus years, I guess, since we started playing in Stefan's garage, like making noise in there, kind of still many years later, still making noise and being able to put out records it's kind of crazy.
I know it's it's cool. It goes as long as the connection remains.
Yeah, for sure.
The single that you guys released, I was like, wow, this is cool. This is just like still the same spirit, and
right on.
It's always like a nice comfort,
Yeah.
You're like, okay, things are going to be nice and destructive. That's good.
Yeah, you got a pretty good chance to like hang with like all of us kind of individually, correct? I mean, I kind of remember like we had a lot of times where we sat backstage or whatever, we all talked, and it's pretty funny. Yeah. Just I always wonder what other people's perspectives are when they hang out with us, because like I think we're all, as close as we are as friends and whatever, blah, like we're all like a little different, especially like Stefan, he's just a character. I get a kick out of him. He's definitely a little out there sometimes, and I've known him since basically I was 10 years old. I think when we met, he lived up the street from me. He was like the rocker dude in the neighborhood. You know what I mean? We all skateboarded and stuff, but he was like the one guy who had like long hair.
Yeah,
and would sit on his porch and play his guitar, and you'd go into his room and he had like Y&T posters up and like all kinds of like like he was a straight rocker.
Yeah,
it's just funny. I was just thinking like how much it's like. It's changed, but not really. He's still like, it's like still that vibe. He's still like the rocker. Now it's just like more extreme rock, but it's pretty funny, like just to think like back that many years ago and like see how everybody's sort of like grown up, but kind of not kind of the same, in their own way.
Yeah. I know it's like, when you have like a crew, especially, I mean, you've been making art together for a long time, which is, different than like if you were just like hanging out with your school buddies, all of your life or whatever. It's like such a different thing because you're like going out to sea, on tour on a ship, on different kinds of ships, all, through time. And you're like experiencing so many problems and issues and drama and good things and amazing things. It's just a whole different relationship. And I was just watching the Go-Go's documentary.
Oh, I just watched that last week too.
Yeah, that was really inspiring. I was just
it was. Wow. But it's pretty funny though, like when you watch stuff like that though, and you really realize like how most bands are like kind of the same. Like every band goes through like pretty much the same like behind the music stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
From like arguing over who wrote songs to like one person gets a drug addiction. One, you know what I mean? It's like, it's like, it's all like, wow. It's like, man, we're such a cliche of ourselves. Sometimes it's funny.
Yeah, it is. But you understand why that happens.
Oh, for sure. It's good for, I think it's good for other people to see too that aren't like in bands. Cause like I said, it rings true. to a lot of us, you know? Yeah, it was really good though.
Yeah, no, it was great. The thing that really got me though, I just loved it, is just seeing them together in the end, you know, like just like getting back together after the drama, you know, and just sitting on stage doing the same old shit. And it was just so sweet. That was great.
Yeah. No, that is a good feeling. Did you ever watch the Metallica one? The one where they were like making a record and then they had like a counselor in there with them when they were recording?
Oh shit! No, I didn't. I heard about it, but I never saw it.
Yeah.
Is it good to see?
That it's good, but it's like hard to watch, like because it's like really cringy, like, you know, a lot of it. Shout out to them for like putting it out, you know, because like if I was in the band and I watched it, I'd be like, oh dude, we can't put this out, you know what I mean? So like the fact that the fact that they like put it out, because like it's like it shows them like, you know, literally like not fighting, but like arguing in the studio, and then like they have a dude there who's supposed to like be like the guru or some way or whatever, and it's just like really weird, man. It's really uncomfortable at certain parts, but definitely entertaining. I would say to check it out for sure.
Oh, well, yeah, I will. It's like I'll have to prepare myself for that. So, like the new album, do you have videos for it?
We have 2 that we recorded at the same time. So we have this guy who he's like kind of like been a photographer, videographer who's been like touring with us pretty much everywhere we go, and has been kind of filming us and stuff like that. And we didn't really use any of that footage, but we realized that okay, obviously we're not going to be able to get together in person. Everybody lives in different cities. So real quick, I'm in Portland. Abe and Frank are in Sacramento. Still, they've been there pretty much since back in the day. Stefan's in LA, and Sergio lives in New York. So for us to get together, it's like one of those things where we have to really plan it out. Like, okay, we're all going to fly in, we're going to meet here or there. We still have a studio in Sacramento that we've had since the mid-90s. So lately we've been doing stuff there, like writing or rehearsing, whatever there. But even that was kind of sketchy because this was even like a few months ago. And just like the last time we had seen each other, we'd all been in the same room, we were rehearsing to go to Australia again, ironically enough. And that was, I think, maybe it was March. And like the night before we were supposed to leave, like, yeah, the tour was canceled. That was like, I think that was like right when like basketball got canceled. Like everything just like started getting shut down right around then. So it was like, oh, okay, this is serious. Like, you know, we're not going. And we just spent like a week or so rehearsing to go out there. But that was the last time we'd seen each other. So then slowly but surely, like everything was like, you know, okay, this might last a couple weeks. Oh, this might last a month. Oh, here's another month going by, whatever. And I'm sure you were feeling the same way of just like, you know, are you still in New York? Where are you at?
No, I'm in LA.
Oh, okay. I think maybe in LA just too, maybe because stuff's more spread out. Maybe it wasn't as, I don't know. I know like for Sergio, like he didn't like leave his house for like, you know, he was in New York and New York was really crazy. And like he basically like was nervous to go get like groceries and stuff, you know. And I think we were all kind of like in that headspace for a little bit. I mean, I think we kind of know what we're dealing with to a little bit more at least than then when it was just like, yeah, you didn't want to touch anything that anybody else touched and like super whatever. So like, yeah, so it came down to the video stuff, whatever. And we were like, yeah, we want to be nice to get together and do this, but like no one wanted to like fly or like, you know, get on a plane or do anything. So we had our dude Clemente who, like I said, he travels us a lot, whatever. He flew out to all of us individually. He went and got, you know, he got his COVID test, whatever. And then like he came in and just filmed us all with like, you know, a little backdrop and some lights. And, you know, with technology, just took it, you know, and we had a couple different directors kind of come in and use that footage. And we made 2 videos out of the same little shoot, you know. And yeah, I mean, you know, they're both different. And I mean, obviously, I think maybe they could have been a little bit better had we been able to be together. But for some reason, it doesn't seem that way. I mean, they did a great job in like making it feel, I think, like we were together, you know? Yeah. The last one dropped last week, last Friday, the newer one, Genesis. And then, and then tomorrow the record comes out.
Yeah, so excited. I think last time I made a record was like so long ago.
Yeah.
I don't even remember what it's like to make one. Well, that's not true. I made an electronic album, but we make it so quickly that it's just so quick. It's hard to know if you can count it as like, it's not the same thing as sitting in the studio with like a bunch of musicians.
Do you kind of do it like how your live shows were? Like as far as like sort of just like kind of like off the top, just like kind of start just like digging in and then, yeah, that's wild how you do that. I always bug out on that. It's funny, you inspire me. I got like when I got back from Australia, I got like 2 of those, the green Line 6.
Oh, Line 6.
Yo, because like you used to flip that thing, dude, and like the way your vocal would sound, like you'd have this really cool slap thing that you did on there, and I was like, oh, I love that sound for one. But just like a lot of the way that you manipulated that thing, like I just used it as a guitar pedal back in the day, and I would just like, I'd find one setting and then I'd record a whole song with it. Like you were like actually used it as like a piece of gear, and actually your whole rig that you had set up, I remember just like staring at it going like how the hell does he get all these sounds out of this? Like, you know what I mean? The way, and then that fast, it's like you have to remember, like, I'm sure you get used to it. I mean, as far as like knowing what knobs or whatever, but like, I'm not that tech savvy. So like when it comes to me and recording, I like to have like someone help me like set everything up, all my compressors, my effects, everything, make a chain. And then like if I have an idea, I just got to come in and like push the record button and then record it. Otherwise, it's like two sides of my brain. Like if I start going to like the technical side of it, I'm like, whatever idea I had is long gone, and I'm just kind of like in another world,
Yeah, well, I'm kind of like that. Like if it's recording, I just need like an engineer there, just because I want to stay in the creative zone. I don't want to be an engineer. I don't want to be, But the gear that I do have, I do know how to use that. It'd be the same thing as like a guitar. It's for me the line 6 or my 6-track looper and reverb pedal and all that stuff. That's kind of like my version of an instrument. So I don't really see that too much as a technical thing.
So when you said though that you made an electronic record, you mean that you use that stuff, but also you like use like some like synthesizers and like drum machines and stuff?
Yeah. Well, I worked with, do you know John Tejada?
Sounds familiar.
He's like a West Coast techno house, like legendary producer. Like he's up there with like Plaid and all the legends that you would hear like through the 90s and so forth. And he started in hip hop, but anyways, he's badass. He does like this really amazing minimal techno albums, and he's an incredible electronic producer. And so I was like a hit fan of his, and I joined up with him. We met each other at a party that he was performing at, a warehouse party that he was spinning at. And then we just hit it off. And so basically what happens is I go to his house and we go into his studio and we just have a mic set up, and he plays like a skeleton of a beat. And then if I'm feeling something, I'll just start singing, and I'll just sing over it a couple times, and that's that track. And then sometimes I'll hear a bass line, and I'll put a bass line down with synthesizers or orchestral pads, or I'll start a track with a drum beat, and then he'll add stuff on. So we just like do quick handoffs, and then I sing super fast, and then we just move on to the next track. But that's how we make records. So they're really, really fast. But it's because it's electronic.
What about the lyrics though? Like, because I realized that you like super fast at lyrics. Like, I've seen like obviously all your live shows where I can tell like you, like, you'll be singing a lyric and it'll be about someone who's like in the room that you probably never met. I'm like, okay, he definitely wrote this right now. You know what I mean? So like, do you do that same thing when you're doing it, or do you come up with like melodies and then put the words to the melodies kind of thing?
No, in that case, I'm just improvising. So off the top of my head. So it's, with Wahada, which is the name of the electronic project with John.
All right, I'm gonna look it up.
Check it out. It's WAJATTA. It's a hybrid of both of our last names. Okay. But, so with that project, I'm just going for it. So a lot of it is kind of like fake languages, gibberish. Sometimes there's some clear English ideas, but it's kind of like whatever it is, whatever comes out is what it is. So there's not like, I'm not sitting down and writing a narrative or anything like that, or poetry in that sense. But it is like, it's inspired by the moment, and I'm trying my best to make it sound like something. Yeah. If that makes sense.
No, it does. It's awesome. I mean, honestly, it's like a very organic way of writing. It's like very much in that moment, which is pretty rad. It's pretty rad.
There's so many different ways of writing. And for me, it's definitely gotten more limited as I get older, in the sense that, I really like just making stuff in the moment and just being cool with it and moving on, because if I start spending too much time on something, I actually start to get really sleepy and I start to fall asleep.
But I would be interested to hear like something that you did like that though. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Even if it's not like, that you worked on it for 12 hours in a row, but like maybe wrote something and then like, a week later come back and say, oh, that's cool. But, and then refine it like, because I can only, what I'm saying is I can only imagine like where that could go. You know what I mean? Considering the only way I've seen you is just like work super like, you know,
Right.
in that quick way. I think I just can imagine how awesome it would be.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think I could do something that sounds really nice and meaningful if I was with the right producer. Because I can write stuff pretty fast. You know, I just need someone to assemble it as fast as I can create it. You
Gotcha.
know? And I have a solo record from 2003 that, you know, I spent a lot of time on, and I have 5 albums with my band Mock Tube from Seattle days in the 1990s that we did, like, you know, traditional, like, you know, rehearsal space, writing songs, playing live, going on tour, then recording the album, all that stuff. So
Are you from up there, from Seattle?
Well, I'm actually from Montana.
Okay.
I grew up in Montana, and then in 1990,
What city?
Great Falls.
Okay.
Not a lot of people know it. It's right in the middle of the state.
Okay.
But I'm from Great Falls, and 1990 when as soon as I graduated high school, I moved to Seattle.
Okay.
So I was in Seattle from 90 to 2003. And so
Okay.
that was when I played in millions of bands.
So yeah, I mean, we spent a lot of time there during those years as well. I mean,
Oh, really?
yeah, I mean, we recorded all our first 4 records, pretty much. Actually, White Pony, White Pony we did in Sausalito and then in Los Angeles. But all the other ones, the other 1, 2,
Crazy.
4, and some of 5. You know, Bad Animal Studio up there. Now it's Studio X, or it became Studio X. I guess the Heart Sisters, whatever, you used to own it.
Yeah,
whatever.
the Heart Sisters. Yeah, totally. I've recorded there.
Yeah, so we that's where Terry Date, our producer, lives. He still lives up there, and
Sick.
so yeah, that was like, you know, us leaving Sacramento and like going up there, and like, those were good times. I mean, I used to skate all around that city, and just like, you know, like I really, really fell in love with that city way back in the mid '90s, and then I think the last record that we did there at the time was the self-titled record in like 2003, I think. So that was probably around the same time that you moved away from there. So yeah, we were probably running the streets at the same time.
Man, that's so crazy. Yeah, because I remember rocking White Pony when it came out. I had that shit so blasted in my Subaru DL sedan. It's just like rolling around and just rocking that shit with a 12-disc changer in the trunk.
This show is brought to you by Patreon, who ask creators, are you tired of being paid in clicks and likes? Social media and streaming platforms help people find your work, but getting you paid is another story. With Patreon, you can stop rolling the dice of ad revenue and per-stream payouts and grow your creative career through the direct support of the people who care the most, your fans. Since Patreon is built for creators, not advertisers, you'll skip the middleman and develop a sustainable income source by offering a recurring membership to your fans. In turn, they'll get access to exclusive community, premium content, and the chance to become active participants in the work they love. The creative system is broken. So if you're a podcaster, video maker, musician, writer, illustrator, a creative person of any kind, sign up on patreon.com now. That's patreon.com. And change the way your creativity is valued by building the steady income stream you deserve.
Yo, I wanted to ask you about something else.
Yeah.
I remember when we were down in Australia, you were the first person I actually saw with the little foldaway bikes.
Oh, yeah.
So I wanted to ask, like, do you still ride bikes? Because I would see you just like vamping around town on that thing, and I'd be like, yo. But I also remember like being on the plane with you, and you like fold it up and like put it like on the plane and stuff, and I'd just be like, yo, that's dope. like, but you were the first person I saw with one of those. You still have that, or do you still ride bikes in general?
You know, I don't ride bikes as much. Well, hardly. I mean, I have a couple e-bikes now, and I still have one of my Bromptons, but I gave one of my Bromptons, that's that folding bike. I gave one away to one of my coworkers at CBS, and she rides it every day. It's pretty awesome.
Okay.
But yeah, it's been a while because, you know, I was traveling a lot, and I wanted to, you know, for that tour especially, I wanted to stay, you know, in shape. You know, I was just looking for something really small because in New York, I just didn't want to lock my bike up. I didn't want to worry about my bike all the time. You know, I go in to like have coffee with someone, and I'm like locking my bike up and hoping, you know, that it's still there when I get back. So instead I was like, well, what if I just had a bike I could just put under the table when I'm having coffee, and I know exactly where it is. So I started rocking it there. And then when the tour came along, I thought, man, maybe I could figure out a huge case, to put my flight case. And I figured it out. Just made it happen, and it was fun to ride from the hotel to the gig every day on that tour. It was just a blast. But now I mainly rock. I have an e-bike made by Super 73. This crew out of
I know that one. It's like the little mini bike kind of one with the Which one do you have? Because I've been trying to get one.
I have 3 of them.
Some people will say like the e-bikes in general. I mean, I ride like mountain bikes and road bikes, any kind of bike. I just love bikes, but especially on mountain bikes, people are like, do the e-bike, you're cheating, blah blah. But it's like, yo, I'll ride way farther than I would on my regular mountain bike. So I'm still riding, like, you know what I mean, and it's still exercising. Like, you're tripping. It's dope.
No, it's fun, man. Once people get on them, it's like the same thing with like electric cars and shit. Everyone's just like, "Oh no, man!" It's like, "Whoa!" And then they try it out and they're like, "Oh shit, this is dope." Guaranteed, someone on a scooter, a gas scooter, that's just like, like barely has any torque, and then they get on an electric scooter and they're like, "Holy shit!" It's just. It's a game changer. But I like the e-bikes. I think that they're cool, and I think they're great to like just zip around and take care of shit, or just have fun, or like, if you want to like take it in your car, if you're going down to the beach or whatever, go check out the Goonie Rocks or whatever, and go and just like rip it up on the beach. It's awesome.
Yeah.
I love bikes, but an e-bike is just, it's different. I just approach them differently. Like if I was living out more rural, I'd probably ride a bike. Just a straight up bike. In the city, it just feels like you have a little bit more of feels safer in a way. Because you got disc brakes and and you got power to get out of a situation if you need to, and that type of shit. So I like it, and it looks cool.
Yeah, it does. It looks like a little mini bike. Reminds me of like these dudes when I was a kid, like all the cholos in my neighborhood, they would they'd have those little bikes, like mini bikes that were like basically had like a lawnmower engine in the middle compartment.
Yeah.
And they look basically just like those Super 73s, but like, gas powered by like lawnmower chainsaw engines. And no, like a lot of the ones that like they had too, like no brakes, like straight up just like around the neighborhood. I'd be like, yo, it was crazy. But I just love bikes. Like I could sit and talk about bikes forever.
Bicycles or
bicycles in general. But I've never. I had one motorcycle. I was walking down this little main street in Snohomish, and it was in an antique store in the window, and it looked so cool. It looked like kind of a smaller version of like a old 60s kind of like James Dean style like motorcycle, whatever. And I was like, and I walked inside and
like a cafe racer.
Yeah, it's total like cafe racer style bike. And I bought it out of the window, like just as is. And I tried to ride it back to Woodinville, and I got a flat tire. And then I got it, going. And I used to ride it a little bit, but it usually just sat in my garage. And eventually I got rid of it. But But my wife's not too down with me having a motorcycle, so I'm just kind of like whatever. And I like bikes and bicycles like a lot more, anyways. She's actually doesn't like me buying any more bicycles either, because she's like, "How many bikes do you need?" And I'm just like. You got different bikes for different things, So, different occasions.
Yeah. So you're like a BMX cat.
I did grow up BMXing, but not like not really like doing tricks or nothing like that. But just like that was like how I got around the hood.
Just dirt biking.
Yep, dirt biking. We made little jumps and stuff like in the fields by our house. But that, and then when mountain bikes first came along, I was like. I loved them.
Yeah.
But now the technology is so rad on them. So like, and then when I lived in Bend, like there's tons of trails, and they were literally like 3 minutes from my house, the trailheads. So that was really cool doing that. But I also like road bike, and I like vintage steel like frame old school road bikes. So I collect. I got a couple of those.
Sick.
But the bike I probably ride the most now is I have like a Specialized hybrid bike, and it's sort of like it has the flat bars, kind of like a mountain bike, but it's like a road bike, thin tires, and it's carbon, so it's like super light. I live actually in this city called Lake Oswego, and it's like 9 miles south of Portland.
Oh, wow.
And there's a big lake, and I like that's my thing is I'll just ride around the lake. It's like 7 mile loops, not that big, but it's super light, and I can ride in and out of traffic and not feel sketchy. Obviously, disc brakes and everything, so it's like. I really have good control of it. So, so that's probably the bike that I ride the most.
I love like super lightweight bikes. Like there's nothing more sexier than just like a super high tech, like hyper lightweight. Carbon and titanium, man. That's the way. I wanted someone to make a carbon fiber and titanium Brompton, that English folding bike.
Oh yeah, because then that'd be super transportable.
That'd be so crazy because they're like, the one I had that I was on tour with back at Big Day Out. That was like, I don't know, it was like their lightest bike, and I had like a titanium aftermarket titanium seat post and titanium forks to kind of get rid of some weight, but they could really, like, someone could go to town, they could do like a special hyper lightweight version of that bike, and it would just, man, that would just kill.
They should. I mean, I was totally inspired by you by that time because I literally, the next time I went down to Australia, and I think like the whole trip we kind of did the South Pacific or whatever, went to Japan, do everything. So like I took one of my bikes and I bought a big ass case. Like I think it was like an older like Thule case or something like that, whatever. But it was like, the case itself was heavy enough. So like every plane I got on, I had to pay extra. Like just because it was like past the weight thing by like, a few pounds, whatever. So like I would have to pay like $70 to like $150 every little jaunt, to go on. And in Australia, it's like when you're touring, you're flying pretty much to every show.
Yes.
So yeah, I kept getting charged for it. So like I was like, damn it. But I was inspired by you because like that was the coolest thing to like look out my hotel window and see Reggie just like straight up just like on your bike just rolling out. I'd be like, dude, I want to do that. That's funny.
That was dope, man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was such a trip for me. I loved it. I like, going for it. If there's like something that most people would be like, nah, I don't know if I'd want to do that. I'm like, no, I want to know if, what it's like to just commit and just go for it.
What I always explain to people with the coolest thing is like how many times have you been to a city and then you've been there, but you never really like peeped it out? It's like you went to the venue, you went to the hotel, maybe you might have went to some restaurant or someone like told you to go to like to get the best chicken wings or something or whatever. I don't know, but to have a bike and like ride through cities and like make your own sort of venture through, however, it's like. I don't know. I really probably saw more of each city in different places by having a bike because it's like you're actually wheels to the ground, like you're exploring.
Yeah.
And so like that's so much fun to me. I usually get up when I'm say like, we're playing a show. I'm usually the first one up. I get up super early on the bus. I go in the venue before everybody's in there. I take a shower, set up my dressing room stuff, whatever, and then I'll get on my bike and I'll just like pretty much ride around until sound check, which is usually 3 or 4 o'clock. But I'll just cruise around. I mean, look up, okay, what record stores are around here, what like cool breweries are here, what, cafes or whatever, and just like ride my bike there. And sometimes it's, it could be a little far, but it's great exercise, like you said. And it's just, I feel way more connected. Like, then when I'm playing the show that night and I'm singing to a crowd of people, I feel like I have more of I know it sounds a little corny, but I feel like I have more of a connection to like the city that I'm in that I kind of, it's a better vibe. I don't know. It's a little less faceless or whatever. I just feel like a little bit more connected, I guess,
That was the thing that I loved about it. It's just like I got to ride and I got to get a sense of people and where you're at as opposed to just like drop in, hang out at the hotel, get in the car, go to the gig, rock the gig, and then get in the car and then fly out the next day, which sometimes can be, if you're doing a lot of dates, sometimes you don't have the time and you just need to rest. But why not make the effort,
Yeah, for sure. Are you, is there anything that you're working on right now, like music-wise or any projects?
I got my app that came out called WhatsApp.
Okay.
And
what's the premise of it?
It's just like my own app. It's like my own kind of multimedia channel, I guess you could say.
Okay.
It just has like my videos. I mean, it's available on iOS and Android right now. I can, upload text, pictures. There's live streaming capability. And then I have my store on there where I sell all my old gear. And kind of like my own Craigslist.
Okay.
And then I can also do some geolocational stuff too, which is kind of these games where I can like actually attach a piece of media to a specific location, so you have to like go to the corner of so-and-so and so-and-so in this city to hear the new single.
Okay.
That kind of a thing.
I'm about to download it.
Yeah, please. Yeah. It's weird. It's like if you put in WhatsApp, it doesn't come up. If you put in WhatsApp by Reggie Watts or just Reggie Watts, it'll show up. And it's free. And there's no tracking. So there's no tracking. There's no social element to it. So it's just kind of a fun, like what you see is what you get type of thing.
All right.
I love it.
Well, shit, man. Oh, here it is right here. WhatsApp by Reggie Watts. Get. Okay, is there going to be in-app purchases that I got to do? I'm just kidding.
No, I don't believe in that bullshit. The only thing that you buy is just stuff that's on the store. That's it.
This is rad.
And even like I'm making T-shirts too, and they're all limited. There's gonna be a nutritional label.
I love that.
What's happening? What's up?
Okay, here you are. You're already talking to me. I gotta turn it down. I got you talking to me in two different ears right now. But that's rad, man. Well, cool, man. Shit, it was good. It was very good catching up with you.
Yeah, it was good catching up with you too, man.
I'm not sure when the next time I am going to be down in LA. I hope sooner than later, but whatever. But yeah, maybe I'll hit you up. I'd love to, to see you in person at some point.
Yeah, man, that'd be so cool. Yeah, I know it'll happen. I mean, I know that something's gonna figure itself out, and hopefully we'll get out playing shows again. I could definitely need to come see a Deftones show for sure soon. Need to energize the people.
Right on.
Well, cool. Thanks for chatting, man.
I kind of feel like I'm sort of like the host right now of the damn podcast because I was going to get ready to go to a commercial break right now.
Chino, Moreno, Reggie Watts, thank you so much for joining us here on the Talkhouse Podcast. Make sure to tune in for upcoming episodes. I'm talking about Tegan and Sarah in conversation with one of my favorite current bands, actually out of your city of Chicago, Josh, Dead, as well as Fish's Mike Gordon with guitar virtuoso Leo Kottke, and so many more episodes that I'm not allowed to talk about yet. Dope shit coming down the line.
You can find Talkhouse on all your favorite social channels, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all at Talkhouse. Thanks to Reese Higgins for research on this episode.
Our producer is Mark Yoshizumi, and the Talkhouse theme song was composed and performed by The Range. Till next week, I'm Elia Einhorn.
I'm Josh Modell.
Peace.
And bikes, of course.